ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. And I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up.
Let's talk about dairy cows, or dairy critters. When you think about where your milk comes from, are you thinking you need one of these? Or do you think you need something that's maybe smaller with 2 teats and less volume? You need to think about your situation as far as pasturing ability or space. If you don't have much space, maybe a 2-teated ruminant, such as a sheep or a goat, might be better for you. If you're thinking that I've got some acreage and I like cows, maybe a dairy cow is in your future. The one thing that you do need to consider when you're thinking about that dairy cow in your future is the fact that they don't produce a small amount of milk. They produce a large quantity of milk. So we're talking about gallons, not quarts, not cups. We're talking gallons. So in the grand scheme of things, do you have enough time and enough call for the big volume of milk that dairy cows produce? In a calf share situation, that calf is going to take some milk. The older they get, they're going to take more milk, which helps out. However, when they're young, they don't drink as much as mom can produce, because a dairy cow is made to produce an astronomical amount of milk, far more than what their calf can even think about considering to consume in probably their first 2 to 2.5 months or so. It depends on the calf, but a week-old calf, a 2-day-old calf, a month-old calf maybe, is probably not going to be able to keep her dry. So when you're thinking about getting into dairy cows, you need to think about which breed you want to go with. Holsteins, they're like the king of cows as far as dairy cows go. They produce a lot of milk. A lot of milk. Jerseys also produce a lot of milk. A lot of people don't think that they do. They do. They produce a lot of milk. There are Ayrshires and Guernseys and Swiss and a whole bunch of other that produce a good volume of milk. Some other breeds that produce, say, slightly less volume of milk might be your shorthorns or your multi-purpose, dual-purpose type of cows, like, again, your shorthorns and some Dexters. They're made for slightly less production. Hi. That's not her calf.
She's a film star.
Yeah. Ooh, milk face. Milk face.
Milk face.
Milk face. That's a beef cow. That's not a dairy cow.
Yeah. Notice the red texture color.
So when you're thinking about a breed, if you have the space for one, think about how much milk you're going to need. Are you going to need a little bit of milk, or are you going to need a lot of bit of milk? Because a lot of bit of milk comes from these guys and breeds similar to them. If you're going to need a little bit of milk, maybe stick with something that's more dual purpose breed that can produce enough for you and enough for a calf. However, you're going to be milking less as far as times a day. Maybe not in the beginning, but overall. In the beginning, Holsteins, Jerseys, all those, you're going to want to be milking at least twice a day when that calf is young. Like I said, a month to 2 to maybe even 2.5. Twice a day, if not 3 times a day. If that calf is absolutely not keeping up and she is very full, the next time you come to milk her in the PM, you milk in the AM, then you milk in the PM. If she's very full when you come to that PM milking, you're going to want to switch to 3 times a day. You need to make sure that you have time in your schedule for that. And I'm not saying that they're not cool, but they're a lot of work. Dairy cows are divas. And there's a bunch of other things that you need to worry about with dairy cows. Mastitis issues, milk fever issues, things like that. Milk fever is really, really common when they first calf. When they start dropping all of their milk, their body literally just strips itself of calcium. And then you wind up with this thing called milk fever. You need to be able to understand how that works. You need to be able to have a vet on call or on hand to be able to help you out with a situation like that. It's a scary situation. They can die from that situation. Things like mastitis. There are several different types of mastitis. But mastitis as a whole is a bacterium that is either entered the teat or it's caused from the mom not letting down or not being milked enough. So when you're looking at milking, make sure that you can provide all the time that you need to be able to make sure that that cow is comfortable with you and lets down when she needs to let down, and you're capable of milking this cow when she needs to be milked. Dairy cows, you're married to them. When they calf, you're married to them. So make sure that you have that ability and time, space, nutrition, all the requirements that a dairy cow needs. And I'm not saying that sheep are any different as far as marriage to milk goes, but most of the time they have multiples. Goats have a lot of multiples. Dairy cows, you want them to just have one. Cows usually have one. So unless you go and find another calf to help you out, which is may or may not work, depending upon your situation, depending upon your cow, it's a crapshoot. They're not all surrogate moms. They don't all do that job.
She might not take it, and then you gotta milk, fill the bottle, and then feed the calf.
Yeah. So
feed the extra.
If you wind up with a really cool dairy cow that will adopt calves, or you can graft them on, that's an awesome situation. Hanna does it, Cora does it, but not all of them do it. And then you're left with a calf that you have to milk your cow to feed. So you need to look at all the logistics. It's not all fun and games. It sounds really cool. Most of the time it is for me. Greg's not so much into the dairy cows, but he likes the milk. So as long as he doesn't have to do the work.
You should probably go through, I know you kind of slightly touched on it, but just outlet. Because they're going to produce a lot. Like we feed it to our feeder pigs along with human consumption, because if you're getting gallons a day, there's a question. What are you going to do with it?
Exactly. Yeah. When you're dealing with your dairy cow, and I'm talking about like the amount of production that you're looking for. If you're looking for a high production cow, or if you're looking for the pretty eyelashes that the Jerseys have, or the black and white color that the Holstein has, you need to think about what you're doing exactly with all that milk that you're going to get. You're going to get a lot. It's not going to be a little bit. And do you have an outlet for that amount of milk? You're going to get gallons of milk. So do you have friends and family that are willing to try this raw milk situation? Or do you have, say, feeder pigs in the backyard that you can give some of your raw milk to? You need to have an outlet. You absolutely need to have an outlet for it. Granted, pigs, they love milk. Love milk. Like, they will go through a fence to get to that milk. You will, let's say you have a pump. Start that pump, your pig starts squealing. They know what's going on. They love milk. However, maybe your sister or her husband or whoever you planned on sharing with don't like raw milk. You need to have an outlet for it. You need to understand when you're going into it that I'm going to have a lot, so I need a place for all this to go. Maybe start out small.
Man, it has a shelf life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Look at you.
I just remember that comedian that said, women age like fine wine. The other guy's like, well, my wife ages like milk.
So, as Greg was saying, because I'm so leaving this in, as Greg was saying, raw milk has a shelf life. It's a live food. So it can't sit.
It bites back.
Yeah, it bites back. It can't sit for weeks or months or whatever on the shelf or in the fridge. I suggest 7 days. And after that, it has other purposes. You can ferment it. You can let it sour and make all sorts of other stuff with it. But
cottage cheese.
Yes, cottage
cheese. Butter. Anything.
Yeah, you can
yogurt.
Well, yes, you can make yogurt. You can make butter. You can make mozzarella. You can make all sorts of things. And granted, that's where a good chunk of your milk is going to go. Let's say you want to make mozzarella. It takes 2 gallons to make 1 pound of mozzarella. But for butter, you can't use milk. You have to use cream. So the long and short of it is do your research, do the best you can, word of mouth, YouTube videos, whatever. Find a whole bunch of avenues to get information from, and then make your more educated decision on whether or not this is for me. Because dairy cows or dairy animals might not be for everybody. Maybe you have a friend that has a dairy cow that you go out and feed every once in a while, or give a scratch to, or whatever, and that suffices you. It's a good outlet for possible avenues for them as well, as far as, hey, I need an outlet for all of this milk that this huge cow produces. You know, you can always help supplement some of their feed. That would be nice, because dairy cows, they're big framed ladies. Big framed ladies. They are bottomless pits. That being said, you actually need to feed them what they need to have to produce things, because a skinny dairy cow is just, they're skinny anyway. They hippie, whatever, ribby. They're not beef. They don't get big and thick and wide unless they're very overweight, in which case you are going to have issues and probably some steaks at the end of it all. However,
yay, beef.
yeah. However, you need to feed them appropriately for the job that you're giving them. It takes a lot of effort for their body to produce milk. You just squeaked in your hoof. What in the world? Beef cow.
Rocket dog style.
Rocket dog style beef cow.
See how much taller she is compared to her?
Yeah. Yeah, big frame. Big frame. It takes a lot of food to fill out this frame.
A lot of bones.
It takes a lot of inputs to have your output come out the right way. So, like I said, do your research. They're fun. They actually are. Greg doesn't necessarily think so much, but I think so. And that's why I do all the milking and the dairy cow stuff. However, don't just jump into it with both feet and sink yourself right away. Look around for information. Do yourself a favor. Go into it with a more educated mind frame. That's my ditty on milk cows. We'll check you later.
Live, life, love. And a beef cow.
Not a beef cow.
I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down,